wheel trimmer. Okay, before we even look at how true it is, we're just going to touch up the nipples a little bit. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to get all these nipples around about the same position on the spokes. Now, all things being fair and equal, when the end of the spokes level with the end of the nipple, if your spokes are exactly the right size to the 100th millimetre, that'll be exactly spot on. Your rim will be perfect. Because the spokes only come in 2mm increments, it's not really going to do that. So what we're going to do, we're just going to wind all these nipples right up. We're going to wind them right up to the end of the thread, and then we'll start to true it. Just taking each nipple up to the end of the thread and see how we're looking. You don't want to put too much at once, because you've got to remember these ones might be loose, but by the time you tighten these ones up, it might pull these in a lot. So we're just going to take them round about up to the end of the thread. Okay, now it's basically a little bit of tension on them. What we want to do is use these jewels. We're going to want to find out just where the wheel's sitting. Now there's three things we need to look at. We need to keep it square, in the centre of the hub, and round. So straight, centred, round. So I'm going to start by just tensioning up the left hand sides a little bit, and while I'm doing that, I'm also going to be paying attention to this measurement as well, so we don't egg shape it. So all we're going to do, go around, tighten all the left hand ones. Now the secret of doing it is just going a little bit at a time, so I'm only going to do a quarter of a turn each time. If you go too many turns, and all of a sudden you find yourself in trouble, it makes it harder to pull it back. You only go a quarter of a turn each time, you're not going to all of a sudden get it out of whack too far. We've got it reasonably centred, but as you can see, there's quite a big egg in it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull both sides. Where it's coming out, I'm going to pull both sides. I'm going to pull them in. I might even, where the big gap is, might even back them off. So I'm just going to keep going around and doing that. Okay, we're getting fairly close. There's a little bit of a gap. Ideally, we want to get all those inconsistencies to within 1mm. Now what I'm going to do is just concentrate on one thing at a time. You know, either go straight, centered, or up and down. And I'll do one circuit each one, and I'm just going to slowly pull it in. Now, if we need to go side to side, okay, so I need to come to the left, I'm going to tighten up the left hand spoke, and I'm going to loosen the right hand spoke. Okay, if I want to go up or down, if I want to pull it in a little bit, I'm going to tighten both spokes. If I want to back it off, I'll back both spokes off. And we'll just, as I said, keep going round and round. Good. Okay, now I've got the round, the square, and the centre within about 1mm. I'm going to go around, I'm going to tension up the spokes. They feel like they're pretty close. 20 kilonewtons. It's actually not too bad. So what I'm going to do now is go around. I'm going to go around, I'm going to tighten all the spokes up and bring up the tension. I'll do once around, then I'll check it for square and roundness again, and we'll keep going. Drive side. Once your drive side's right, if it's round and centered, and you don't worry about the other side, it should take care of itself. These are actually looking pretty good. Okay, so I've added a quarter of a turn on each spoke. I'm going to check for roundness again. Shorten it out a little bit. So the bits I want to bring up, tension both spokes. And check it for straightness in the centre. It's come off centre a little bit, so I'm going to pull it over to the right. So I'm just going to give each right hand spoke a quarter of a turn. Then I think we're going to be pretty much done. Okay, now we've got all the, it's round, on centre, straight, it's up to tension, but what we want to do is de-stress the spokes. Because when you're playing around with your spokes, when they're tension and untension, they tend to build up stress in the spoke nipples, in the spoke elbow, sorry, and at the nipples. So we want to pull that tension back into the spoke to even it out. It's called de-stressing the wheel. And you should really do this to your own wheels every 6 months or so. Just makes the spokes last a lot longer. Two ways to do it. You grab 4 spokes like that, squeeze as hard as you can, or the way I like to do it, grab a shifter, push it in between the spokes, underneath the head's down spoke, and just give it a little twist. And what that does, it helps bend the spokes around each other. So you're going to go all the way around the wheel. And to the other side. Helps bring all the tension, spread it out through the spoke, so it's not just accumulating at either end, leading to fatigue. And as I said, if you do this to your own wheels every so often, it'll help out. Now what I'm going to do, rather than put this straight on a bike and ride it, I'm going to let it sit overnight, and I'm going to come back in, I'm going to de-stress it again. You might find that things shift around, the spoke heads might pull in a little bit, the nipples might pull in a bit, so it might just flex around a little bit overnight. So what I'm going to do, leave it sit here all night, come back in the morning, de-stress it again, recheck alignments again. After that, it should all be good to go.